As we've just learned, the web has caught up with typography in a remarkable way, and it's become a rapidly evolving area of CSS. But good web typography is also knowing when to be flexible. By default, text is fluid, so depending on our approach, responsive typography can be easily achieved, and there are many CSS features and tools that can help us maintain a consistent baseline, make a font size flexible, or respond to different viewport sizes. So let's get started and learn how we can make our text look great in any context. These days, there seems to be countless combinations of devices, operating systems, and screen sizes and resolutions that can render text differently. Some differences are more subtle than others. Although text is naturally fluid, it's not exactly a one-size-fits-all solution. For example, a heading may look great and proportionately sized on a desktop browser, but look entirely different on a tablet or mobile device. The same can happen with body text, as font sizes, line lengths, and line heights may start losing their rhythm and balance proportions, which can ultimately lead to illegible and unreadable text. So we need to consider how our text will look in most contexts. Are the word shapes still enticing to the reader? Is the typographic color still present? Well, the good news is that responsive or adaptive typography isn't all that difficult to achieve. We just need to take some time to think through how our text should respond to changes in screen size and then implement those changes. So let's go over a simple example we can apply to just about any project. Here we have a simple one-column text layout with a main title heading and a few subheadings. So far, the layout looks pretty good, but there is much more we can do to enhance the text by improving readability and the vertical spacing. Currently, our line lengths are fixed and the font sizes are set in pixels. So first, let's set our font sizes to relative M units so that they scale relative to the base font size. I want to change the body text to a bigger font size because the current font size of 16 pixels seems a little small. So let's go ahead and make it 18 pixels. We'll use the target divided by context equals result formula to convert our body font size to M's. So 18 divided by 16 gives us a body font size of 1.125M. So this establishes a new context for our font sizes and line height. What we did was make the new font size 1.125 times larger than the browser's default size of 16 pixels. Sizing body text shouldn't be entirely based on personal preference. We need to consider things like reading distances and the screens or devices it may be viewed in. Desktop screens are generally further away than tablets or most mobile devices, and it's a larger screen, so the font size should be slightly bigger. 18 pixels seems to be a good size for this typeface we chose, PT Serif. So we'll keep that size for our main body text. But we can also make our headings a little larger too. When sizing type, it's not good practice to just select a random font size that we think would look good. We probably could get away with it here since it's a simple page with 3 heading sizes and body text. But it's good to use a typographic scale because it helps us achieve a consistent hierarchy, and it ensures that our design stays harmonious in every way. So here's an example of the traditional typographic scale, which increases gradually in increments of 1, 2, 3, and finally 12 to ensure consistency in the proportions. So we'll go ahead and base our font sizes on the scale, which they already are. We just need to convert our headings from pixels to M units. So using our new font size context of 18 pixels, we'll change our heading size here from 72 pixels to 4M. And for our heading 2, we can change that to 2M, which is twice the 18 pixel font size. And just below in our heading 3, we'll change it from 24 pixels to 1.333. And finally, for our code example text, we can set a font size, but this time we want to set it back to 16 pixels. So instead of just typing 16 pixels, we can use the rem unit, which stands for root M, which just resizes it back to the base root unit of 16 pixels. So when we refresh the page, there we see our new font sizes set in M's. Optimal readability requires a certain amount of control over the line length. So next, we'll need to create a fluid line length that resizes whenever the browser width is reduced, or when the page is viewed on smaller screen sizes, like on mobile devices. Because as we can see here, the width of our lines are fixed because currently our containing element, our wrap div, is set to a fixed width of 600 pixels. In order to make it fluid, we'll need to define the width in percentages. Fiddling around with percentage numbers, I came up with a width of 58%, which closely matches the 600 pixel width. And we'll give it a max width of 58%. That way it cannot grow any more than that. So now when we refresh this, the line of text are fluid and resized to 58% of the viewport width. But notice how when we are at a smaller width, the lines of text are now too short. So we once again need to adjust a few things here. At the bottom of our style sheet, we have 2 media queries. And that's all we'll really need for this particular example. Now, if you want to learn more about media queries, take a look at the deep dive on media queries or check out Alison Grace's series on responsive web design. But here, we'll need to make things adaptive with as few breakpoints as possible. In fact, we'll only adjust it at 1 breakpoint. So whenever the browser is reduced below 600 pixels, the max width of our wrap will increase to 85%. So we'll refresh that, and now you can see how it adjusts right here. So the line of text is no longer too short. It's actually quite readable. Next, let's adjust the font size of the body text so that it's not too big if the screen is narrower than 600 pixels. We'll just need to reset the body font size to 1M. So 1M is equivalent to 16 pixels. So this becomes our new context for font sizes when the viewport is less than 600 pixels wide. So back in our browser, we can see that when the page is reduced below 600 pixels, the paragraph text and headings scale down accordingly and still maintain their proportions. But notice the line lengths are now too long, and they keep increasing in length the wider the browser gets. So we'll need one more media query to adjust this and make sure the text doesn't get any wider once the viewport is wider than 980 pixels, because that'll still preserve our readable line length. So in our media query here, we'll once again select our wrap div, and we will give it a max width of 600 pixels. So this will give us that optimal reading length of about 60 characters. So now if our browser exceeds a width of 980 pixels, the text will stay fixed at 600 pixels, and the line lengths won't increase.